as I promised when I started doing these video e-blasts, I wanted to keep you up to date, not only with what's going on in the Commonwealth, but also other information that is important to you and your family. This is one of those videos. Last week we went back to the veto session in the General Assembly, and no surprises. With the Republican House and Democratic Senate, there was no expectation of overriding any of the governor's vetoes, and none were. However, something very important did happen this month. We uncovered the Heartbleed Bug. Nothing to do with Medicaid, nothing to do with healthcare, but everything to do with your personal information. You see, this is the biggest and most widespread vulnerability in the history of the modern web. It has to do with the encryption of communication for over 66% of the internet. It has to do with something called OpenSSL. We don't need to get into the weeds. All you need to know is OpenSSL is what is used to encrypt the data between you and a lot of web servers out there on the internet. Web servers that host your email, web servers that host Facebook and Netflix and YouTube and Dropbox. They've all been compromised. It's not like a virus on your computer where you just install Norton and McAfee and have it wiped off. It's actually not on your computer at all. You see, OpenSSL is the protocol that was used to encrypt the data between you and those web servers. It is what encrypted your password and your login when you logged in, and, well, it's been compromised. And a third party has been able to capture those passwords and logins to those various sites. Now, it would obviously take a lot of time for this to have any significant impact on the majority of the population, but unfortunately this bug, it's been around since December 2011. And a lot of software packages actually started using OpenSSL in May of 2012. So it's been out there for 2 years gathering personal logins and passwords to get into private information of people all around the globe. Now, at this particular point, tech companies have been applying the patch to close that loophole and prevent that type of compromise in the encryption of data. And large tech companies have also gotten together and to date have already put out $4 million to prevent this type of vulnerability from happening in the future. But the damage this time, it's already been done. So the question is, what can you do now? Well, the first thing you want to go out and do is you want to go out and change your password. Whether you've been compromised and you know it, whether you think you may have, or whether you know you haven't been compromised at all yet, the fact of the matter is you could have your password and login already out there in some third party's hands, and they can use that in the future. The second thing you want to do is, because these web servers have not all had the patches applied yet, unless you're on a Facebook or a Dropbox or a website that says we've installed the patch for Heartbleed, you want to go back next week and you want to change that password again. Remember, until a patch has been applied, that third party, if they're using the Heartbleed Bug, can actually capture that login and password. So you want to go out there. If you're not sure whether a certain site has installed the patch, go ahead and change it next week as well. And in very short order, all of those large sites, they're going to have this patch, and that access to your personal information is going to be shut down. But what do you do going forward to make sure that you don't have this huge vulnerability again in the future? Because you see, if you use a login and password for one site, whether it's Facebook or whether it's YouTube, and it's captured by a third party via one of these bugs, well, it doesn't take much of an algorithm to log on to various credit card sites and various bank sites and other type of websites, and just try your log-on and password there to see if one of them happens to get into that additional personal information of yours. And you want to be able to shut that down. And that requires separate login and passwords for all your sites. Now, I know this is easier said than done because we all log into a lot of sites, and some of us are better at that than others. My wife and I, Shelly's amazing. Her login to her computer is a password and login. Her login to her email is something different. Her professional logins for what she does for business is different. Her personal is different. And she has a different login and password for everything, but she's got an amazing memory. I, on the other hand, I've had the same login and password for the last 5 years for just about everything I've ever done. But I realized I can't do that anymore. And luckily, months ago, I found a site called LastPass. You see, there used to be applications out there, and some people did it by notebook, where they just wrote down this site's password and login is this, and this site's password and login is this. And well, we're in a society in a day and age where you really can have 50 different logins to different sites, and that gets kind of onerous to have to flip through when you want to get on one site to look at where it is. But there is a site out there called LastPass.com, and I like this site. I've used it for a number of months now, and what it does is it allows you to go into that site with a login and password, and you obviously want something very, very secure, a number of characters that make no sense, that you know what they are and you can remember, or have it someplace where you can get to it. But when you go in there, it actually, when you log into a site and you set your login and password, it actually accepts the login and it randomly generates a password for you of a large number of characters that have no meaning, uppercase, lowercase, symbols, you name it, is in there. And it generates a very secure site and or password. And the next time you do it into a different site, it randomly generates another password, completely unique for that one. So when you go to a website, the first thing you do is you go into LastPass and click on what site you want to go to that requires a login. And when you click on it, it'll automatically log you into that site. And that way, if something like this happens again and a third party that is able to compromise your login and password for a site, they're not able to use it for the rest of your sites you may have on the internet. So that's what I found. It actually has an application for Macs and PCs when it comes to desktops. It has an application for your tablets. It's got an application for your phones, both iPhone and Android. So it allows you to use it on just about every device that's out there that can log you onto the internet. I hope that's useful. I hope it helps protect your personal information today. I hope it helps protect your personal information tomorrow if another vulnerability should occur, such as one we've experienced now. And I hope that you find that this has been of significant value to you and your family. And as always, if I can be of help with anything else, please give me a ring.